You've seen it a million times, right? The word dry on a menu. A dry martini, dry wine, dry sake. But what does that actually mean? I mean, if you really had to explain it to someone, could you? Well, it turns out the answer is way more complicated and a lot more interesting than you might think.
So, picture this. You're out for dinner. You see a drink on the menu described as dry. And you just kind of nod along, right? Like, oh yeah, dry. I know what that is. But could you explain it? It's a surprisingly tough question. And as we're about to find out, even the experts can get totally tripped up by it.
So this whole deep dive really kicks off with sake specialist Genya Nozawa. He was in the middle of a staff training when someone asked him to define dry, and he totally blanked. He just couldn't do it. And that one simple, humbling moment sent him on a personal quest to find the real answer.
And I mean, that's the thing, right? If a specialist has trouble with this, what chance do the rest of us have? So, to figure this out, we first have to look at a number you might see on a sake bottle, a number that, believe it or not, often just makes things even more confusing.
Okay, so in the world of sake, there's this official scale called the sake meter value, or SMV. The idea is supposed to be simple. A high positive number means the sake is dry. A low negative number means it's sweet. But here's where it gets super weird. When people actually tasted the sake, their opinions were all over the place. They'd taste a supposedly dry sake and call it sweet. The numbers were saying one thing, but people's taste buds were saying something completely different.
So you can see the problem. Faced with this total puzzle, our guide went on a mission to find some real answers. He decided to talk to two different experts, hoping they could finally make sense of this incredibly confusing word.
His first stop was a talk with a real master, the president of a sake brewery in Tokyo. He laid out all his frustrations, the confusing scale, the customer feedback that made no sense, and what he heard next, well, it changed everything.
And boom, this is the first huge breakthrough. The brewery president told him that the peppery kick a lot of people associate with dry isn't a taste at all. It's a physical feeling, a stimulus caused by the alcohol itself. The big insight here, you absolutely have to separate that feeling from the actual flavor.
So let's really nail this down. Alcohol stimulus is a texture. It's kind of like the heat from a chili pepper or the fizz from a soda. It's a physical sensation in your mouth, not a flavor your tongue is actually tasting. This is a massive clue in our little investigation.
All right, so the second piece of this puzzle came from a pretty unexpected place, a really, really good bartender in Philadelphia. And this guy didn't just give an answer, he gave a full-on demonstration. The bartender's test? Super simple. He mixed up two cocktails. First up, just a regular sweet drink. Then he made his own version of what he called a dry cocktail. The idea was to answer the question with taste, not just with words. And here's the crazy part. The dry cocktail, it wasn't what was expected at all. It didn't have that peppery alcohol kick. Not at all. Instead, it had this sharp, clean, really intense, acidic finish. So what on earth does acidity have to do with being dry? So the bartender explained his thinking. For a lot of us, dry isn't just about not sweet, it's about a feeling. That sharp acidity in his cocktail does something physical. It literally dries out your palate. It cleanses it, leaving it feeling fresh and ready for the next sip. This adds a whole new dimension to what dry can mean.
Okay, so now we have these two different ideas for dry, right? Either it's a peppery feeling from alcohol, or it's a cleansing acidity. And this is a big reason why that official sake scale, the SMV, can be so wrong. Okay, so the confusion really boils down to how we measure dryness in the first place. With wine, it's pretty straightforward. They literally just measure the amount of sugar left over. Less sugar means it's drier. Simple. But sake, it's a whole different ballgame. The SMV scale measures density, which is this tricky balancing act between sugar and alcohol.
Okay, so why does this even matter? Well, it matters a lot because it means that SMV number can totally lie to you. You can have two sakes that taste completely different but have the same score, or two that taste alike but have wildly different scores.
Let me show you exactly how this can happen. Imagine two siks. They have the exact same amount of sugar, but one has more alcohol, say 17% versus 15%. Because the SMV is based on density, that higher alcohol sake is going to get a higher SMV number, making it look drier on paper, but when you taste it, the sweetness is identical. The number is telling you one thing, but your mouth is telling you something else entirely.
So if the word dry is this messy, confusing term, is there something better? Yep. The last piece of our puzzle comes from Japan, and it gives us the clarity we've been searching for.
It's time to talk about Karakuchi.
So, Karakuchi. What is it? Literally, it translates to something like spicy mouth or spicy flavor. And this isn't just some random adjective. It's a real, historical style of sake.
So this style goes way back, like to the 1600s, with the discovery of this special mineral-rich water. The sake made with it got famous for being super crisp and clean. And over the years, Karakuchi started to get linked with that distinct peppery kick we talked about from the alcohol stimulus. It's a style with real history behind it.
All right, we've collected all the clues. We have the vague, international idea of dry on one side and the specific traditional Japanese style of Karakuchi on the other. Let's finally put them side by side and create a clear way to think about them.
Okay, let's break this down, and this is really the key. First, look at dry. It's an international term. It always means less sweet. And, like we learned from the bartender, it often means high clean acidity. A peppery finish? Maybe, maybe not. Now look at Karakuchi. It's a traditional sake style. It also means less sweet, but the acidity can be all over the place. The thing that really defines it in many cases is that peppery alcohol stimulus. That's the big difference. So, if you remember one thing, remember this. Dryness is mostly about low sugar plus that cleansing acidity. Karakuchi is mostly about that sharp, peppery finish. They are not the same thing.
Look, at the end of the day, taste is always going to be personal, right? Everyone's definition of dryness is a little different. But by splitting up dry and Karakuchi, we get a much better, much more precise language to talk about what we're actually tasting in the glass.
So the next time you're out and you taste something, stop and ask yourself, am I tasting a lack of sweetness and a clean, acidic finish? Or am I feeling that crisp, peppery kick? Is it really dry, or is it Karakuchi? Now you'll actually know what you're talking about.